This is outrageous, right? We are tiny babies. Like, I'm 20, I am clueless, I haven't had sex, I'm an absolute baby, right? And suddenly we're having a naked workshop. We were up to 90 about it, but a huge feeling that if we don't go do this, we won't get good marks. And I just wanted good marks. It was basically the 25 of us sitting there. The lecturer stood up in front of us and he said, there's a show in England at the moment called Dress Undress, and it's happening before your eyes. And he proceeded to take off all his clothes and put them back on and take them off and put them back on. Okay. So he was one of the first willies I ever saw.
Is he in prison?
He isn't.
Oh my God.
This is art now, Sian, allegedly.
So welcome to today's episode of Bebel Podcast. Well, I've followed this lady for some time. I listened to her on the radio. I've watched her comedy, but I never really knew much about her history and what a fulfilled life she's had. Thoroughly enjoyed today's chat. I know you're going to love it. So welcome, Laura O'Mahony. Laura, welcome to Bebel Podcast.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for asking
delighted.
me.
Do you know what? I've wanted you on for ages, and I keep sort of, I bump into you, and I know we don't know each other. We just know each other from Instagram. And then I saw you in the Montenotte car park one day, and I was like, Aoife, we must get her on because I follow you, number one. I listen to Red Raw. I obviously listen to you when you're on the radio. And so for me, I'm just a nosy bitch, basically, Laura.
That's all right.
I just want to know your story.
Oh, lovely. Well, I do remember seeing you that day in the Montenotte car park, and it was only afterwards. I was like, it was Sian. I was like, oh God. And then I felt so bad. That's such a weird thing that I know your face, I know your work, I know loads about you, but never had actually, I don't think, met you. And then that's happened to me with loads of people you walk past, and I'm like, person's my friend, and I didn't say hello to them. And then you only realise afterwards, well, they're not really, but it was just too late. It was too late.
I do it all the time. You see someone in Tesco, you're like, hi, and then you go, oh, no, I don't know them. But I know what they had for breakfast.
Yeah, that happened to me. I always remember when Brian Dowling won Big Brother.
Oh, yes.
I randomly saw him walking down Patrick Street, like about a day afterwards, but I felt like I had been living with him. So I just was like, hey, Brian. And it was only afterwards I was like, that was Brian Dowling.
I actually don't know him.
I don't know him at all. I haven't been living with him.
Oh, hilarious.
Okay, so who is Laura?
Yeah, who is Laura? Where did Laura grow up? Where did it begin?
Where did it all begin? Okay, so I am from Upper Glanmire. We'd call it Upper Glanmire.
Okay.
It's just the
posh.
Yeah, the posh.
Okay.
It's White's Cross, really, is what we'd call it. So I am the youngest of three. There's me and my sister, who's about 3.5 years older than me, though she claims she's since she's turned 40, she started to say she's 34, which is not correct. And then there's also my brother. Now, my brother is estranged. He doesn't talk to anyone in our family. I would love to give you all the full scoop on that, but my sister wouldn't allow it. So we'll just leave him off. We wish him so well. There's 7 years between us. Just a bit of a difficult character.
Yeah. Not
fully sure what the estrangement is about, but it has been thus for maybe 8 years. Yeah, no, I know for a fact. Don't know.
It's mad, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I'd love to shed light on it. I don't really have a light to shed on it. It doesn't trouble me. It doesn't trouble any of us anymore because it's been so long. Kind of, he made whatever decision he made. He doesn't live in Ireland. So we don't have that. We wouldn't have had that much contact anyway. Was he always a bit difficult? Maybe. I don't understand it.
Second oldest?
He's the oldest.
Oldest, okay.
Yeah.
So you're one of three?
Correct.
Okay. I was going to say, that's not middle child syndrome then.
No. And I'm the baby. I don't know. I think it's maybe what trajectory your life takes.
Absolutely.
I think... I think he's wrong in all of his decisions, but I wish him. Do I wish him well? I wish him fine.
Yes. Yeah, no.
But I'd love to talk about it, but my sister has said before, she's like, that's just our private stuff, and it's much more private than I am. But I do think if anyone has that in their family, it's very common. It is common. We have it in our family. Yeah.
Not direct family, but certainly within, the outreach as a family. And it's something that I don't think anybody can explain.
No, and I think we say since the whatever estrangement, which wasn't any one event, we've lived through COVID. My dad nearly died. My mom's best friend died. I've had another baby, all of this. And I just kind of think if you didn't reach out during any of those times, then that's fine. You know, you've made your decision, and that's fine. And you know, whatever. In a way, it doesn't actually trouble me. I think because there was always such a big gap. There's 7 years between us anyway. Like, I mean, I'd absolutely probably tear him limb from limb if I met him, but I don't think I will meet him ever again. And I'm okay with that.
No, it sounds like that chapter is closed.
Yeah, I think so. And like, you have to kind of respect whatever is going on with him as well. And fine.
Yes.
You know, I think it's his loss very much, not our loss.
Oh,
anyway, so 1 of 3. So I really only count myself as 1 of 2 now.
Yeah. And were you close with your sister growing up?
Yeah, we were close. She is, as I said, 3.5 years older than me. I might be aging her slightly. A great inspiration to me, Yvonne. She's a criminal law lecturer. She's badass.
I thought you were just going to finish at criminal.
She's a criminal. She's done a bit of time, but she's come through it. She's come out the other side. She's a great person, very black and white, not much into grey areas, a huge sense of justice. She won't just take your side, which I've always struggled with. I'm like, please just take my side blindly, which is my personality type. She's not that. She'll tell you if no, that's not right, or what you did there is not correct. I think I loved her growing up. She was very inspirational to me. Anything that she liked, I would like then a lot. So, for example, we loved watching Les Miserables when we were younger. We used to watch it with my dad, the 10th anniversary concert. And like, Yvonne loved it. But I ended up going to Michael Ball's concert. You know, it was that. I'd always take it the next step ahead. And I know she loves me very much, but you'd have to provoke it out of her. So, for example, at our wedding, I insisted that she made a speech because I'm like, I need to hear it. She won't freely give it.
Yeah.
I know she loves us very, very much. And I think actually with Yvonne, sometimes she feels things so much that she doesn't express it.
Yes.
So you might be a bit like, what's wrong with her? Is she allergic to me? And she just actually loves you an awful lot, but she's not going to tell you. She just assumes that you know.
She's protecting herself.
Totally. Yeah. She's a great person. She's a great mom. She lives in Dublin. So we were very close growing up. My mom and dad are both teachers, both retired now. My dad was the vice principal of my primary school. He subsequently went on to be the principal of the same school. And my mom was, she taught in the same school for 35 years. She ended up as the vice principal, and her biggest kind of pride and joy, she was the resource teacher for travellers in a girls' school. And she loved her traveller girls. She was amazing with them. Both amazing teachers. I know this from multiple people that I meet around. They're like, oh, your dad loved me. And I'd be laughing going, Dad loved them all, but he loved me the most. You know, they'd be like, oh, he was like, oh, he did Jimmy Daly and all this. I remember when he was retiring, people were like, how is Jimmy going to cope without teaching? And I'm like, he'll be grand. He'll be happy out, because they both did, like, I would say, just really good teachers, just kind, full of love. They loved their job.
They make such a difference to us.
Yeah.
We underestimate it, but I still know all, like Mr. Cox was my teacher. Yeah. Miss Lillyvelt. You know, like I always think of the Murphy, they got married, and, you know, they had such an impact as we grow up.
Mrs. Horgan is mine. She taught me in second class, and it was the light bulb moment of I'd like to do acting. She used, like even long multiplication was acted out. She'd get us to stand up, and then one of us would have to carry the one and all that. Now, it did nothing for my maths, but it definitely made me go, you know, oh, there's a different approach here. I would credit her with that moment.
Isn't that amazing? I think it's lost a little bit in the curriculum now, because I wasn't an academic. Yeah, I was definitely a bit like you said, like visual learner. So if people taught me like that, taught me a flow, I'd never forget it the rest of my life. That visual learning piece.
Very academic, extremely. I feel always with school, I was so good in school. Like I was obviously in primary school, you know, I was good. My dad was the vice principal. If I ever got in trouble, he always seemed to appear. And I'm like, who's after ratting me out now in the staff room? I didn't get in trouble often, but he would always appear. Secondary school, I feel like I was so clever. Like, and I almost felt at the end of college, we'll say, a bit like, I'm full now. I've done all my time. I
Yes.
am now unavailable for any future learning, especially out of books, because I was so into the books, and I was so like, you know, I got high marks in my leaving cert. I didn't really particularly need them because I was going on to do drama. I think I had like 100 points to spare or something, but and drama, like again, the academic side of it.
English lit, yeah.
Yeah, well, in drama, yeah, we did drama and theatre studies, and then you took an art subject with it. So I did take English with it.
Because I did theatre studies.
Yeah,
and I hated it. I was like,
Sharon, I hated it. Now, we can get to this. I didn't realise at the time that I hated it. So basically, yeah, childhood was mum and dad.
Just academic, head down. Found it easy.
Full of crack, though.
Okay.
No head down. Didn't need to have the head down. Was just very clever.
And school, like...
That sounds very egotistical, but I just was like academics was no trouble. Maybe maths was difficult. I did go to pass maths ultimately in secondary school because I was like, I just don't have the time or the interest.
And I was only maths.
Okay.
But all my friends were you.
Yeah.
Because I needed to copy you.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd be like, she's going to teach me, she's going to teach me, he's going to teach me, he's going to teach me. So all my friends were really academic.
Yeah.
And I was just sporty.
I wasn't sporty at all. God love me, I wasn't sporty. In secondary school, I was also quite clever in my decisions about, we'll say, what subjects and stuff to do for leaving cert. So I did English, Irish, pass maths. I was in an all-Irish speaking secondary school. And I did geography, French, German, music. No science, nothing, because I knew I wasn't going to use it. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to need it for college or whatever. Languages were my skill set. I did mess up my English in the leaving cert. That was the only thing. I was consistently A1s, consistently. And then I panicked in the leaving cert, left out a whole part of a question, picked the wrong essay, to the point that the teachers asked for me to view it. They were like, Laura, this can't be right. We must go see your thing. I'll never forget sitting in between two of the loveliest English teachers ever and them just being like, yeah, you fucked it. I was like, I did. But so yeah, it came very easy to me. Academics, no problem. Thank God.
At what age were you when you said, you know, like, because that's really clever. You know, people don't, my niece is picking her options in the UK at the moment. Yeah. And I was like, just do the stuff you enjoy, 100%, Lily, because
make your life easy.
Make your life easy because you're not going to use it when you leave, you know. Yeah. But not every, you know, there's a lot about, you know, get the right points, there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Well, I was so clear that I wanted to do drama in college.
And at what age did you make that decision?
Well, I knew I wanted to do drama from when I was in second class in primary school.
Okay.
That never changed. I was always saying I wanted to be an actor at that point. And I think everybody thought that maybe that will change, but it never did. I just continuously said it. Then drama and theatre studies was only in UCC, I'd say maybe 3 years by the time it was my leaving cert. I think one full cycle had gone through. So it was always going to be that. I tried for the more intense drama course in Trinity, where you'd have been like one of 20 kind of doing acting. They were like, not at all, go on way home, girl. So I did, like, I got into all the like academic drama and theatre studies, not so much the acting ones that were just pure acting. So I suppose I made the decision. I remember picking my subjects at the start of 5th year, and it was my mum. Like, mum and dad were great. She was like, you know, pick what you're going to, you don't have to do a science. You don't, you know, languages are your thing, so let's do that. The school were very, like, I went to Closh and Fairshig and Glanmire. I cannot speak highly enough of the school. They really understood me, I think, appreciated me, which is a weird thing to say. But I remember, like, for example, you're meant to talk Irish all the time, okay? Not happening really in the yard chats. A teacher would walk past and you'd be like, sha, 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 so to give the impression that you're speaking Irish. So when you got caught, you were usually detention, right? Okay. So you'd go off with the teacher. I think they'd give you a card or something. Anyway, I got caught by the principal one day and he said, you know, come with me down to the office. So he wrote my name into the back of the notebook and he goes, do you know what I'm doing there? And I was like, not sure of Usher. He was like, you don't have to do detention. So he had to obviously be seen to discipline me. But he was like, I know now, she's just chatty and she made a mistake. They were lovely. I felt very loved by pretty much all. Maybe one didn't like my PE teacher. She wouldn't have been a fan. I was always trying to get off for debating. I'm like, sorry, Avuntor, I can't do volleyball. I have to go debating. So I'd say she found me quite annoying. But I loved secondary school,
Yeah.
which I think is why college was such a hideous disappointment then.
Isn't it funny? Because, you go from this really like well-formed education
Yeah.
piece to now really it's your responsibility.
Yeah, and I suppose I went into drama and theatre studies thinking everybody in this class wants to be an actor.
Yeah.
Not the case. Many people had just kind of picked it to not do arts. So to do like a version of arts, but with a more specialised thing. I remember in first year, one of the guys I was in Annie. I was Miss Hannigan in Annie, still with a kind of a stage school. And I remember this guy in my class going like, oh, you're doing plays. And I felt like saying,
yeah,
yeah,
what we're here for.
Yeah, what are you doing? I think he was doing horse tranquilizers at the time, but I just wasn't very up to speed on them. I walked into drama and theatre studies thinking I would find 25 like-minded souls, and I really only found 2 at a stretch, 3. They can be deciding amongst themselves now who they are. I never felt more out of place than I did in drama. I was still living at home. They used to refer to me as the Holy One because I used to go to Mass. And I was on the parish council and I was a very good girl. And they didn't know what to make of me. And like they were all having naked parties and stuff. And I just was at home. You know, my dad was sorry guys, can't get naked. My dad's collecting me a 10:30. You know, I was such a good girl. And I remember, now at the time, see, I'd be very good at tricking myself. So at the time I was kind of like, this is fine. You know, this is fine. And I'm doing well. This is all fine. It's only a good few years out of drama that I look back and was like, oh, I hated that. And I would never go back there. There was some wonderful teachers and some wonderful kind of connections made. But the day to day, I felt like that kind of classic peer pressure, outcast, weird little woman. And thank God I had a different drama group that I used to go to outside that kind of kept me safe. Finally, in maybe January of first year, myself and my best friend Laura came together. She was in drama and theatre studies with me as well. For the first 6 months, we kind of skirted around each other. And then there was a moment where it just clicked. And then it was like, okay, I have a person now and me and her can survive this together. So a lot of our like going out and stuff would have been with her. Didn't have to go out with the rest of the group. People say we were in a difficult year group. So people here below and above us are like, oh, year group was difficult. It was very difficult. I've spoken at length about this on our own podcast. In second year, a lecturer came in from England and he picked a play that we were going to do called The Public, right? Okay. Forever known as the pubic in my head now, because there was 2 characters fully nude in it, okay? So he said to us, we're going to do a naked workshop to help the 2 characters that have to be naked, right? Now, my character was literally the most dressed in the thing. I went through the script and I was like, this person seems to be wearing a lot of clothes. I'll do this. So he said to us, I've done this workshop before. And people that didn't turn up to it felt very ostracised. Now, Shan, obviously listening back as a 40-year-old now, this is outrageous, right? We are tiny babies. Like, I'm 20, I am clueless, I haven't had sex, I'm an absolute baby, right? And suddenly we're having a naked workshop. We were up to 90 about it, but a huge feeling that if we don't go do this, we won't get good marks. And I just wanted good marks. So we had this nudie workshop. It was basically the 25 of us sitting there. The lecturer stood up in front of us and he said, there's a show in England at the moment called Dress Undress and it's happening before your eyes. And he proceeded to take off all his clothes and put them back on and take them off and put them back on. Okay. So he was one of the first willies I ever saw.
Is he in prison?
He isn't.
Oh my God.
This is art now, Shan, allegedly. So I remember it, like I'm sitting in the front row with my bestie and suddenly this man's bollocks is in front of me and I'm like, oh, like what's happening? So then we were invited to, now it was all fine. We were invited to stand up in groups of kind of 5 and anyone who wished to remove an article of clothing could. Fine. So there was various boobs popping out of various places, all very shocking. I was sitting down. I'm like, I'm not getting up for this. So he said then, he was like, Laura, when you have the option to not take off an item, why wouldn't you stand up? And I said, because it's become a people taking clothes off workshop. And he was like, no, but you have the option to stand up. So me and this other guy stood up then, and the lecturer. Well, the next thing, the guy that had also been going to not take off anything, I just hear him taking this huge breath like this, and he takes a giant step back. And so he's now behind me, like in the middle, next to me, behind me. And he's starting to take off all his clothes. Now, all I can see is my best friend's face. And she is horrified, right? And I'm looking at her going, oh my Jesus Christ, what's happening behind me? I rolled up a sleeve thinking, hilarious, right? So anyway, your man anyway, stressed off his game, is stripping off, fine. So then it's like open for discussion. What occurred, okay? One of the boys in the class was like, I thought it was so interesting that Laura just, rolled up her sleeve, that was really kind of divisive and blah, 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 blah. In my head, I was like, I was literally only having the crack.
Yeah,
like, I just thought this is, exactly. But no, it became this very serious, like, artistic choice. The poor fella that had stripped off was traumatized. Like, nobody asked you to see what my friend later referred to as his giant balls. So, that whole thing. So then, like, I remember coming away from that really kind of cross, and we had to write documentation pertaining to it. And I tore it to shreds. I'm like, this is unacceptable, blah, 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 blah. But I didn't hand it in then because I was like, I'm not going to get the mark. So we all wrote a much sanitized, it was really interesting to see, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this was crazy. Like, when I look back at it now somebody told me I did go and complain. I have no recollection of doing that, but that I did go to the head of school, who was a lovely person, and I did say, this is outrageous. I remember not telling mum and dad about it because I'm like, they're going to pull me out of the course. Because I'm a baby. Like, I was a really naive, not naive, but really innocent, certainly sexually, I hadn't a clue. And I was like, this is outrageous. And it's only now when I look back at it, and we still talk about it, that we were like, that was not right.
No, that doesn't, there's nothing that seems right about that.
I remember saying it to my brother at the time. He was studying accountancy, and I did tell him, and like, he was outraged. But then I remember being like, well, obviously your accountancy lecturer isn't going to do it.
Different,
this is arts, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But is it arts, or is it a much older man stripping off in front of a class of students?
I don't understand the productivity, like what the end goal of that is. It's different if you're saying we're going to do a play.
Yeah.
There's a piece in the play where someone is naked. Should we all, warm up together?
But also,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But you have a choice, but
also,
crazy.
did we need to do a play with two naked people in it? You're at that really early stage in your development. Like, I subsequently put on a play where there was nudiness in it, and when I think back on that, I'm like, I shouldn't have made them be naked. There's a way to do it that they're not, and that's a statement in itself or whatever. It's like, so drama and theatre studies was like, there was elements of it that I really did love, and but I thought I was going in to be in Les Mis, and suddenly a lot of these people had come from youth theatre, and there was a kind of an understanding of youth theatre that I didn't have. Like, I was from Lambda. I was doing Fesh Matthew, poems, monologues. These people were walking the space and breathing out the colour red. I'm like, what the
I was going to say, actually, what did you think was going to happen at the end of it? It was West End? It was...
I think... Maybe there was a time I thought it was the West End, or certainly the Abbey, or certainly, Dublin. And then I realised very quickly, no, I don't have either the interest or the maybe depth to go fully into a serious character.
Okay.
And that's not my skill set. I think I thought I was going to be Sive, which is highly unlikely, or I thought it was going to be Peggy and Mike in the Play by the Western World, or... I think I thought that.
Yeah.
And I very quickly realised, no, it's not that for you. And I suppose I realised after a while that I didn't want that then either. I suppose I thought I would be working constantly in theatre, and then the more theatre revealed itself to me, the less I wanted to work in it. And the more theatre people that came into my life, the more I was like, oh, I'm very straightforward.
Yes.
I'm very... in inverted commas, normal, but these people think I'm mental, and I think they're mental, and this is not a fit. And I think as I get older, I realise that, like, they weren't my tribe. And I think I thought they would be.
Type. It is
an absolute
I had the
dose.
same experience, but actually the opposite, because
Okay.
I wasn't naive and I was, living by myself in London and everything, but I didn't fit in either.
Yeah.
I remember arriving one day to theatre studies, they were all around a piano singing Let It Be, and I just went, I haven't got fucking time for this.
Okay, whereas I'd have been like, let it be.
Yeah. I was like, I've got to be at work at 6. I need to learn something. We're going to teach me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But so I was like, this isn't, I did it for dancing.
And I wonder, Jean, is everyone actually that nobody fits in? Like, I'd love to crawl into the mind of some of the people. Like, I only subsequently years later discovered some of them were struggling with their sexuality. And of course, I was a bit oblivious to that as a concept because I was quite sheltered in a way. So it's only afterwards that you're like, oh, that's what was happening for that person. Or that person had come from a difficult background. Whereas I think I thought we all came from a home with 2 loving parents who had very steady jobs, and I, we had all really cared deeply about school, and we all wanted to do musicals. I think that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And it's literally only like years later I discovered about 7 or 8 of them had come from the same theatre group, youth theatre, and I didn't realise that. So on that first day when they were all besties, I was like, what's happening?
They gel so well.
How has this happened?
Yeah.
It was years later that I realised they had all been in a group together, and I'm like, oh, well, that makes more sense. And that would have been much easier for me to know that. But I like, my best friend is from drama and theatre studies, but I think that's only because we were both so normal, in inverted commas. Like, that it was like we had similar backgrounds, interests, all of that. We were a very safe space for each other. We'd have found each other anyway. I think drama wasn't what brought us together. But it's only, I think it's quite freeing to be able to say I didn't enjoy college. I didn't get stuck into enough extracurricular stuff because I felt really put off by these people that they weren't getting me. I had been in secondary school where people absolutely understood who I was. I had been in Irish college where it was like, I am home. This is where I belong. These people understand me. I love these people. I want to be here all the time. And then to come in, so I was expecting that. My little heart was broken,
it's like
really.
A complete flip, isn't it?
I was like, what the heck? Because we allegedly all want to do drama and we all care, but I'm like, but they don't like it the way I do.
Yes.
And I think then as well, I was lucky I met my now husband maybe at the start of second year.
And how did you meet him?
Irish college. So
Okay.
there's 7 years between us. He was a helper in Irish college. When I was a student, I was very unaware. I knew he existed, but I didn't really know him. And then all the help, when I became what's called a steward, we used to go away. A steward, it's a kind of a helper, like what would you call it? Like a leader.
Yes.
A leader in the Irish course. When I became that as well, we used to go away every November for a weekend away, basically, a big piss up down in Kerry. And at that I met him. Okay. And so that happened maybe around the start of second year. So I was quite lucky then that I had a kind of relationship going on, that I could, go to his apartment or spend time with him. That kind of saved me in a way. Like, I sometimes regret that I wasn't riding all around me, but then it's like, actually, no, like I always feel Shane came a small bit early, that I could have said to him, you go away now for about 2 years and come back.
Yeah.
But if I had done that, that wouldn't have been right. So I'm kind of, I missed some of that riding around me phase. And there's 1 or 2 characters when I think back that I'm like, oh yeah, I should have. But it's like, it saved me really. I'm glad I was sensible enough to say.
There's going on as well. You've gone from everybody understanding you to people not understanding you, to meeting the one person that does.
Yeah.
Or 2 people, your best friend.
Yeah.
That's within 2 years.
Yeah.
But so when you make the realization that maybe that it's not for you, like, how do you get through that last year or so?
Well, I didn't make that realization until afterwards.
Okay.
So I was kind of thinking, well, third year now we'll probably really get stuck into the drama. And we did actually. There was a great module we did, which was much more like acting based. But then it comes the decision after third year of what do I want to do now? And I'm like, I'm not quite ready to leave college, even though I'm allergic to it, but I think not consciously allergic at this point. So I was working in a bookshop in town and I was like, well, I can do that during the day, but I need to do something else. What's the plan? So I did a master's in English, and like that, a lot of my friends were doing a drama and theatre studies master's, so I knew the same crowd would be around. And actually the crowd that did the masters in drama that year became some of my closer friends.
Okay.
Because they were a great bunch. We had just been very unlucky with our bunch. So I did a master's in English. There was only 4 of us in my master's. It was Irish writing, theories and traditions. My sister had done a PhD, so I think that I was going to do a PhD until she pulled me aside and was like, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be an actor. And she said, what the fuck are you doing a PhD for? So she was exhausted at the end of hers. And I was like, well, wouldn't it be nice to be Dr. Laura Daly? And she was like, no, we're not doing it because would it be nice? So no, we're not doing it. So I did my master's on Yeats, a book he wrote. I should have done it on his poems, but because of the PhD, I wanted to have a new angle.
Okay.
The book was one of the most boring things ever. I'm like, that should be my thesis. Well done, W.B. Yeats, your book is shit. Stick with the poems. So I did that. I got a first class honours overall, but not in the actual thesis. And then me and Shane went to New Zealand for 5 weeks, just a little holiday. A holiday that nearly broke us in many ways. At the time, it was a real make or break for some reason. I think in hindsight, I realised college had just ended. I was directing a play, but we left before the play ended. And I now understand my personality that I needed the closure of all that being over before we went. We also, because I've spoken about this, so he doesn't mind. Neither of us had slept with anyone before. So we had no skills. So we were figuring that out on that holiday in New Zealand. And it was kind of we love each other, but this isn't kind of working. And then why isn't it working? And it sent us into a bit of a spiral. Me, not Shane. Shane never spirals. I was kind of going, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. And I felt so far away in New Zealand, so far away. And I'm a terrible flyer, like awful, should just be knocked out. So that became like a really difficult trip where we were trying to figure stuff out. And I really felt we could have, I remember years later in the middle of my C-section, a man stuck his head in and was like, everything is normal. I felt like saying to him, where were you now when we were trying to have sex first day? Because that would have been very handy to just have a fella kind of going, yeah, this is right.
Yeah, you're okay.
Because we hadn't a clue. Neither of us had a clue.
Yeah.
Shane had a difficult time. His mom had passed away and he himself had a bout of depression as a result of losing his job. So he had kind of missed a chunk of time where he'd have been off writing. So then we found each other, both of us, 2 innocent little virgins, with a clue. We hadn't a clue. And I was so convinced that I was going to get pregnant at the drop of a hat. Like I was a person who had taken a pregnancy test when I hadn't had sex. Like I was convinced to get it off the toilet.
Yes.
This kind of mental. So there was a lot of that to unpick and fix. And I feel like we probably did it on that holiday in New Zealand. And we came back from that holiday going, absolutely, we're each other's forever. But at the time in the holiday, I remember just feeling like, I want to ring my mom and tell her this is too far away. In hindsight now, I know that what was probably going on is I was suddenly on holidays in New Zealand because I thought that was the thing to do. You should go abroad, broaden your horizons.
Yeah.
I didn't really need to shine. I didn't need to go find myself because I knew who I was. And so I think I was doing something.
But it was only 5 weeks.
It was only 5 weeks, but it felt huge.
Okay.
It felt like I am, like we bought backpacks and everything. No sooner were we over there when we realised we weren't backpackers. It was like more of a pulling a bag along behind us. Let's go to a nice hotel kind of vibe. I think maybe it was a bit of kind of copying what people were doing, but a mini version of it, because we couldn't go for years because Shane was working.
But for Shane, I suppose he's a bit older than you.
Yes, he is, yeah.
So, like, because I listen to your pod, right?
Yeah.
I listen to Red Raw, and I always think it's kind of like your pod, and you direct it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
like,
yeah, fair.
Are you that director in the relationship? Even at that early stage, did you find?
Maybe not at the early stage.
Okay.
Shane loves a badass boss bitch, right? Shane loves like
we can do that.
We'll say, yeah, exactly. And like thank God he does. We'll say, like Shane loves Taylor Swift because she's so badass and because she holds a grudge and she writes songs about it and then she makes money off of it and she's like, oh, fuck yourself. Shane loves that type of person. But I think Shane is much different now than when we started out. Like Shane is also a badass boss, though he's like on my Instagram is always killed from saying poor Shane, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with Shane. Shane is fine. They're like, oh, poor Shane, isn't he very good? I'm like, Shane is fine. Shane kind of has developed into the person that he is. we met, even though there's a 7-year age gap, we met at the same place mentally, I think.
Okay.
Because of the fact that he had had a difficult time. So he hadn't had a kind of broadening of his horizons either. And so we were broadening our horizons together. And I think as I've gotten older, I've probably gotten more direct. I was quite direct though. When we were in New Zealand, it was a kind of a, what the fuck is going on? This isn't working. Like the physical. I'm like, we need to solve this. And then Shane is a real figure-outer. Okay. So he's like, we're going to solve it. Shane is looking up my bonnet like a mechanic then trying to figure out where everything's... Yeah, totally. Very practical. You know, it's like, we got to get this solved. Got to make sure I'm hitting the right spot. So it was all... Like we were really very direct with each other. But I think like, and we always are very direct with each other. And I think I'm lucky that Shane appreciates that. Yeah. He doesn't want me to be...
So how old were you when you met him? You were 20?
I was 20, yeah. He was on my 21st. Okay. Yeah.
And so New Zealand, you're 22, 23 now?
Yeah, and clueless.
Okay, but the 5 weeks do you justice?
Well, because he stuck his head up my bonnet.
Oh, good old Shane.
Yeah, so we came back sorted. That's that problem solved.
You two sorted. What about you? What are you going to do?
How do you mean? Oh, work-wise?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So still then I'm in the bookshop. So I have the safety of Liam Russell's, which is subsequently closed down, unfortunately. It's such a great spot. So I have that there as a safety. So I'm working there, I'd say, for about another year. The summer in Liam Russell's is great because it's a school bookshop. So there's hundreds of staff. Great crack. The other months, less so. There's a lot of alphabetizing the children's section because there's no customers, or sorting out the pens, or we used to put sellotape on the top of the tin whistles to stop people blowing them. I'm like, I'm going to do the tin whistles there, guys. So I was kind of doing that. I had said to Shane, I don't want to live together yet. I cannot go from living with my parents to living with my partner. So I moved out for the summer with this was before New Zealand. I moved out for the summer with my friend Laura, my best friend, and we had 2 other friends, Bowley and Danny, that we lived together. So we had 3 months in the summer. That was a nice buffer for Mum and Dad to realise that I kind of moved out. Then we went to New Zealand in, must have been November, whatever. And then I was living with Laura and another great friend of mine, Jada, inside on Washington Street.
Oh, good fun.
Good fun. Walking into the bookshop at like 5 to 9, just after standing up out of the bed. Shane was in an apartment out by the airport because he was working out by the airport. I used to stay with him regularly. My mum thought on the couch, absolutely not on the couch. In that year, so that was 2009, one of Shane's really good friends passed away that year. So that was difficult. Yeah. He drowned in Australia. And we had just had his going away do and all this. So that was very difficult. Now, Shane was amazing during it, but that was a real, it kind of stuck with me, I think, a lot. He was a lovely person. He was so full of life. He was there the night I met Shane. It was briefly a kind of a toss-up between Shane or this lovely boy. And so that was hard in the midst of all that then, so we are having great crack living in the apartment, but Shane is kind of bereaved, but also very practical because Shane had lost his mom as well. Okay. She had asbestos poisoning, horrific, which resulted in cancer then. And so I never met her. That was the year before I met Shane. My mom always reckons that when Shane came to our house for the first time, Mom got a feeling. She feels like it was Christine, his mom, giving her you pay attention here now. This is important, this one. So we were living in the apartment, and then I'm trying to get my so then I suppose that was the year of our masters. Yeah. So when the timings are slightly weird there, but when I was finished working in Liam Russell's and I was finished, it came to a point in Liam Russell's where I needed to leave. I just was like, I can't do this. Yeah. I remember being at home. No, but me and Shane were living together at that point. So we obviously moved in together then after the year. So we spent the year, I sowed my wild oats for the year, not riding, obviously, just my living oats. Then we moved into a house together in Monkstown. And then we were in the bookshop one day. I came home all upset about an invoice. And then I just thought to myself, why the fuck do I care about an invoice here now in a bookshop? Something's gone wrong here. Like, you wanted to be an actress. What's gone wrong? Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Skin Formulas, an Irish skincare brand created by skin experts and trusted by thousands of customers and skin clinics. Built on science, results, and a deep understanding for skin health, Skin Formulas is designed to help you feel confident in your skin. If you want to know more, then go to www.skinformulas.ie.
So I remember crying about it, and my dad arrived down to Monkstown, and Dad doesn't ever do any of that. Mum is in charge of all of that. Dad's only sent down for the big guns. And he was like, Laura, you can leave the bookshop. He's like, you're fine. Let's leave. And Shane was the same. He was like, we can do this. This is fine. So I left the bookshop, and Dad was directing a school's production of Joseph in his school. And he said, why don't you come and direct it? So I helped with that for a while. I suppose I did like small plays here and there. I was working with Graffiti Theatre Company.
Okay,
They go
brilliant.
around to schools. We did a production of Spring Awakening that was on in the Everyman and the Granary. So I was tipping away now. I was like, okay, this is fine. I'm doing bits. I'm a jobbing actress. And then it must have been, I think I was just kind of fannying about, really. Like I was very lucky. Like Shane's job was very stable. So I was able to flit about doing a few workshops. I worked with Graffiti for a while in a workshop capacity, going around to schools and stuff. And then
No naked workshops, no?
No naked workshops, though I am a specialist in them. So I think then the next big thing, obviously, I had said to Shane, you're not to propose to me. There's no proposals now while we're too young. But then time was going on. And it was kind of like, he's not proposing there. Like, as in, we were now living together. And I'm like, there's no proposal coming here. But because I'm so strong,
yes,
he had taken it as a kind of, right, there's no
Back
proposing.
off.
So I had to undo that then. I had to say, do you remember when I said that there now about 4 years ago?
I don't mean it.
It's over. I'm available for it. So we had been living together. Then we got, my timelines are so weird. We got engaged anyway in 2000. And when did we got married in 2012. So we got married in
Where'd you get married?
In Kinsale. We got married in the cathedral, the North Cathedral.
Okay.
And then what was the Carlton? I don't know what
Yes,
it's called
it's
now.
now Kinsale Hotel and Spa.
Yeah, something like that. So he proposed, we got the ring together in Paris, and then I didn't see hide nor hair of it for months. I'm like, where the fuck is that? Where is it? When's it happening? I nearly threw it out. I did a big clear out of a hot press where he was hiding it, and I didn't realise. He said, why are you cleaning out that press? So, and I was like, okay, my birthday, he's going to propose. This day he's going to propose. He eventually proposed in the Sunken Forest in Macroom, which is a place where he used to go fishing. And he needed to be somewhere that meant something to him. Now, it meant absolutely nothing to me, but it does now, obviously. But I remember him coming back to his dad and saying, I proposed to Laura in the Sunken Forest in Macroom. And his dad goes, why did you propose to her in that awful place? So we got engaged, and then we got married in 2012 or whatever. But with regards to work then, I started to realise, funny is it?
Okay.
Don't mind this serious. I had done plenty of auditions, plenty of no's, plenty of you're too chubby. One of the ads I could have gotten was an ad for like the HSC warning against obesity. I could have gotten that, no bother. They offered me that. I'm like, I'm okay, thanks. I don't need to be the face of obesity. Thanks very much. So I could have gotten that, but there was loads I didn't get. And then I was like, okay, stand up. I can do stand up. So shortly after our wedding, I started to put together a stand up set. I wrote a set. It was terrible. I did it for a few friends of mine, and they very kindly were like, that's terrible. What are you doing? You're trying to be someone you're not. Just go up and tell your own stuff. So the night before the first gig, I was like, threw it all away and just started.
And was it just open mics you were doing?
I did an open mic inside in the Coco Club. So that's Cornelius.
Yeah.
Cornelius O'Sullivan. He gave me my first gig inside in Collins, and it was, everybody in the audience was a friend of mine. He was so delighted I was there. He was like, oh my God, you brought an audience, because there was nobody there otherwise. This is before the Coke Club was as successful as it is. So I performed to friends and family, basically. And it went well. Of course it did, because they're friends and family. But I did realise, okay, we can do this. We can do this. So then I entered a thing called So You Think You're Funny. And the heats were on in Dublin, got through to the semi-finals, which was over in Edinburgh at the Edinburgh Festival. And I went over thinking, here we go, now I'm going to win this. Because loads of people had done it. Aisling B won it the year before. I'd say Tommy Tiernan won it. That guy, not Jason, Ed Byrne, loads of them had won it. So I was like, this is me now. Went over, went great. Was maybe 5 lads and 2 girls. And I remember when they were announcing the winner, they were like, she really was brilliant. And I'm like, oh, well, it's obviously me, not was the other girl. And realised afterwards, of course, she had to play in the Fringe Festival. People knew her, you know, like as in she was very good, but it was also a bit of politics. And I always remember after that gig, Jarlath Regan, who's a big comedian now, he came up to me and he was like, Laura, that was really good. And I always felt that was very kind of him, that he didn't need to do that. He had been emceeing, I think. So I came back a bit devastated by that. I thought, here we go. I'm going to be Peter Kay. I'm going to be Billy Connolly. And I realised then that competitions were maybe not, that there's no need. You know, you can do them, but there's no need. And so then I just was doing, open mics. And in a way, like, I've done support for Deirdre O'Kane, is my favourite one to do support for, Des Bishop, Neil Delamere. I've done loads of support gigs, and I've done the Everyman myself twice, and it's gone great. COVID scuppered one of them. I was meant to have a gig the week that the lockdown was announced.
This week?
What would have been this week? So I suppose I was on an upward trajectory in a way. And then I think I stalled a bit, and I think I am continuing to stall at the moment, kind of by choice a bit, because I suppose it was kind of family time then. It was like, what's the plan?
I think you also have other means to reach people. You know, social media is a good, 20 years ago you didn't have that. You had to be, you stand up or you won't stand up. Now there's so many more forms of getting there's comedy out there.
There's so many more forms, and then there's an awful lot of space for feeling bad that you're not doing enough, you know, because you're like, oh God, that person's doing loads. Like we bought a house in Ballycotton, and we had Polly, and like I'm suddenly in Ballycotton, miles away from my parents. We knew we were going to be miles away. We made the decision to be miles away. And that's when I started Instagram, really, because I was lonely. I was like, I really need to feel like I'm talking to people. I always say, like, I need kind of a clap a week, if at all possible. And so I wasn't getting a clap a week down in Ballycotton. They didn't care less about me. And so I was like, I was with Cahoots then, you see. We were in a comedy troupe. Me, Dominic McHale and Ty Kicky. We found each other. We had this gorgeous, fun bond. We loved each other and we loved performing together. Like, still nobody can crack me up like Tyke. I know Tyke is, you know, a very important political figure now and all that, but fuck it, he's still very funny. And when you meet him, that little, you know, all the seriousness of him slips away and that little bubble of this bold boy comes back. Same with Dom. Me and Dom do loads of improv stuff together. Like, obviously the improv was a constant. I was doing the improv panto, the improv murder mystery. That was keeping me sane and safe and happy. My favourite place to be. Cahoots was so fun. We used to do a sketch a week. We had a ball doing it, and we did it right up until COVID. Cracks started to show a small bit. We did kind of break up a bit acrimoniously, but then ultimately fine, like as in me and Dom worked together all the time. It was more that I wanted to go maybe a slightly different direction, and we were kind of reluctant participants, but then also COVID kind of came in, and it just became, just as groups happen, like they get together and then they break up. Remember that time Steps broke up and then they did a big documentary about getting back together. So the documentary for Cahoots is still pending. But like, so much love for that time. Yeah. But again, like that, there's one sketch that I am standing there and the breast milk is dribbling down my boobs because I've just had Polly, and I'm like, always very torn between like, I want to be a comedian, but I also want to be at home with the kids. I want to live in this house in Ballycotton, but I also want to be in Dublin. You know, like, always that person is doing brilliant online. I know I have the capability to do better than them, but I don't have the same drive.
But I think it's always there for you. And I think sometimes we feel like we need to do it immediately. Yeah. I say it to people that I work with all the time. It's still there. It's always going to be there 100%. When you're ready for it.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think it took me a while to realise you're not ready a while, Laura. You're where you need to be. And like, I still struggle with that all the time. Like, at the moment, I'm in very much a phase of what am I going to do? Like, and maybe nothing, Sean. Maybe it is like, it's not nothing. Obviously, we have the podcast and all that, and that's my favorite baby. And obviously, the improv panto murder mystery, they're always there. Stand up is always there. You don't have to be a certain age or whatever. But I think I see people and the drive that they have and the willingness they have to maybe put some things either on hold or to not fully engage. Like, I can't do that.
But I think as well, some of them, when you take it all back, they also have time.
Correct. Yeah.
And time
correct.
is something that you choose where you put it.
Yeah.
And you're choosing your children at the moment.
Yeah. And I said it to Deirdre O'Kane recently. I sent her, I love her podcast with Emma Doran.
It's brilliant.
So brilliant. And I sent a message to Emma, was off doing something. And I said, Deirdre always talks about having taken 10 years off to mind her kids.
Yeah.
And that she slightly regrets it because it meant she had a bit of a climb back then. Now, obviously, she's stratospheric again. But I said something to her about it and she was saying, you know, Emma has young kids as well. But she was like, no, love, Emma's kids are, she said, you have a 2-year-old. You are still in the doldrums. She was like, don't worry a while, you're grand. And she's right.
Yeah.
There's a public feeling of like, I must keep saying that I'm doing stuff. And really, I am a stay-at-home mom. I am minding my 3. Like, you know, Shan, and I know you know, like, I'm so grateful for those babas.
Yeah.
It is not, like, I do not take them for granted. I do feel I've been there for everything to the point of like, it'd be okay to miss the odd concert because I'm like, I've been there. I was at a guitar recital at 8:30 in the morning in the Aula Maxima in UCC. I'm like, I've been there for, imagine children going, ding, gang, gang, 8:30 in the fucking morning.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Counting my blessings.
Yeah, I've been there. And so, and in a weird way then, obviously, we got a breakfast show on Red FM.
Yes.
And we'll get there. Ultimately, it ended up ending at the time when I just had Freddie. So that wasn't the intention, but I'm glad that I got to be with Freddie as well, the same way that I was with Polly and Alfie. So in the height of COVID, Ray Foley out of nowhere, who used to follow me on Instagram, sends me a message saying, would you ever do radio? And I'm like, hi, Ray Foley, person I've never spoken to. Sure. But it was in COVID. So Ray was doing the radio show from Dublin. And I was in my office, tiny office in Cork. So me and Ray did the show together, I'd say, for 2 years. And we met twice. Because
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we met twice. We were
That's
only
mad.
ever in the same room. I remember the first time I met him was about a year in, and I'm like, my Christ, you're tall. Because I was just seeing this man's face on a screen every morning. So he set me all up with like the proper internet stuff and all the proper mics and all this. I was gradually introduced onto the radio. Possibly not the best way to introduce me. Maybe more people should have been aware that I was being introduced. But anyway, it ended up that I was on the radio show with him. Now, I love Ray as a person. I love him. He is funny and bold and all those things, but he is a nightmare. Like, it was very difficult. Because as well, he's a perfectionist and you can't be perfect when one is on a Zoom in Dublin, the other's on a Zoom in Cork and you are on live. So if my connection drops or something, it's a disaster. So he knows he's difficult to work with, but kind of ultimately worthwhile. And I think it's a great testament to us both that we did manage to maintain a friendship out of a very difficult situation. But I definitely think he contributed heavily to my IBS because my tummy used to be in knots. I'm like, what's he going to say to me now? And it's 7 o'clock in the morning. He's also not a morning person. He's on a morning breakfast show and he's like, oh, and I'm like, oh, that's my hilarious. God.
I've heard that before.
Oh, he's very like, and as well, he'd say stuff to you like, why didn't you say that? And I'm like, because I'm Laura. I have my own mind. I'm not going to say exactly what you want to me. We used to be quite rowdy with each other. And it was very difficult, but kind of ultimately great. I'm like,
I was going to say, like, probably learnt an awful lot very quickly.
And I think I'd have learned a lot more if we were in the studio together.
Oh,
and I think it would have been easier in the studio together. So it was kind of amazing that we were able to pull it off at all. And then, so that was about 2 years, like breakfast radio. I mean, and I suppose I didn't understand as well that Ray was the star there. I was really only supplementary. And I listen now when he's on with JP and like JP knows that. JP is there to chip in. Whereas I think I kind of thought that we were equals and that I should say loads now. And Ray's like, no, shush, this is Ray time. I think I didn't really maybe realize that. So then one Sunday morning, a friend of mine sends me a message with an article about Ray leaving the radio. And I'm like, oh, this is unusual. So I sent it to Ray going, what's this? He's like, I'll ring you in a minute. So I'm like, oh, okay, right. So basically he had signed several non-disclosures or whatever, so he allegedly couldn't have told me. I'd say he could have given me a little wink and a nod, but I didn't mind. It would have been different again.
Yes.
If we were working together all the time, that would have been different. But we weren't. Like, I did only meet him the 2 times. And so he was after basically his dream. He was getting to go back to Today FM. How could I begrudge him it? He was getting to go back on with JP. Like, Cork had been a real lifeline for him, but this is what he wanted.
Yeah.
No issues there. Totally got it. And he said, what'll you do? And I was like, I don't know. I said, I don't really, I don't care that much about the radio. It's not my, it was a great bonus, but I want to be a stand-up. And he was asking me, like, who would you think would be a good fit as a replacement? And straight away I said, I think it needs to be a Doty Cork man. And I said, who's a Doty Cork man? And we both were like, Rob Heffernan is Doty Cork man. So there was a bit of like names floating around. I was kind of forgotten in the middle of it for a while. There was consultants making decisions. I had to ring the consultants and go, sorry, what's happening with me? And they're like, oh no, you're in
You're
it.
in the setup.
But we're just trying to figure out the rest
person.
of the setup. Now, I don't know, do I fully believe that I was in the setup? But anyway, I ended up in the setup. Me, Ciara, that had already been on with us, and Rob. And so suddenly we're doing a new radio show. And I'm like, I didn't really sign up for this. I kind of signed up for being on with Ray. And now suddenly we're back in the office. Suddenly I'm going to work. I am leaving my house and I am going into Red FM. And it's like, oh, okay. I met Rob for the first time, and the first initial encounter was kind of like, yeah, he's very nice, but like sporty, whatever. And Ciara was baiting to the gym and stuff, and I'm like, oh, these two now are going to be all sporty at me, and I couldn't give a shit, right? And so, the first show, we did it. It was good-ish, we thought. It was so hard because a new radio show, the feedback is constant.
Yeah.
I'm quite resistant to feedback unless it's super positive or I remember having to teach. Yeah, I had to teach Ray about the sandwich. I'm like, say a lovely thing, then tell me what your real thought is and put a lovely thing at the end. Yeah, give me that. And he wasn't very good for doing that, but he got better at it towards the end. But then we had these consultant meetings I think it was 3 times a week where they'd make us listen back to what worked and what didn't work. Oh my God, hell. And then in one of those meetings, Rob goes to me, Laura, do you love your kids? And I was like, I do, yeah, Rob. And he goes, I love my kids so much. And then from that moment, I was like, this is a normal, doty, fun man. He's not going to try and make me go to the gym. Brilliant. So me and Rob got like close, like we were close, like we were good friends.
Yeah.
But I think we didn't realise how close we were until the shit hit the fan. So we're doing our show. We're happy out. We're a little bit like, oh, the ratings are up one book and then they're down a small bit and then they're up, and we're a bit new. And Ciara was kind of having to run the desk and all the serious side of things, and me and Rob were able to kind of have more crack, but then you can't have too much crack because it's breakfast radio. It felt like we were kind of holding our breath a whole time, and we talk about it all the time. Breakfast radio is very unhealthy. You're up so early. We look, any pictures of us from that time, we look wrecked. And then I got pregnant with Freddie, and I didn't really think much of that. I'm like, this is fine. They'll get someone to temporarily replace me and I'll be back as quick as possible. So then we were taken over by a company that owned Today FM and they own News Talk. And I'm like, this is great now, lovely new company. Oh my God, they're going to love us and blah, blah, blah. And everyone else around us is kind of stressed. And like, I'm not used to this working environment. So I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with them, right? And there's people making noises about, first or last in, first out. And I'm like, we're last in, but they won't kick us out. We're only still new and our contract is for 3 years. We've only done maybe 18 months. I'm like, no, this is fine. So then it was the morning of my birthday and rumour has it the boss is around. The boss has come down from Dublin, the new big boss. We've met him a few times already, Grant. And I was like naively inside in the toilet going, I wonder what he's down for. Ciara had done a cake. We'd had happy birthday at like 9:05 in the morning. It was all very early. People were just starting to come in, Grant. So he wanted to speak to each of us individually. I'm like, I wonder what this is about. Surely we're getting an award or something. It's so simple. So in Red FM, there's a kind of a glass office so you can see right through. So Rob is inside chatting to this man for only a matter of minutes. And the next thing I see Rob's back go and his hand kind of flick up into the air and a kind of and he comes out the door, storms out the door. I'm like, I'm still a bit like, it's my birthday. I'm having a lovely day. So Rob goes, I'm gone. And we were like, me and Kira were like, what do you mean you're gone? And he's like, I'm gone. And so then it was my turn to go in. And I'm like, you stay there now 1 second. So I went in. And your man had said to Rob that he didn't need to tell us or anything. So he was like, hi, Laura. I said, do you mind hi, Laura now? I said, what's after going on there? So anyway, they were very grateful to Rob, but that they were not going to continue working with him and blah, 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 blah. That somebody was coming back that had been on a different radio show and his contract was up and he was now free and he was coming back to Redify. And he kept saying to me, you go have your baby and we'll talk to you then. And I'm there going, okay, right? Bit shocked, bit stunned, bit like, I don't know what to do here now. Then they spoke to Kira, fine. So we're stunned, and I am pregnant and emotional. I mean, thankfully my phone broke, so we've no evidence of it. The WhatsApps of me crying down the phone to Rob, and Rob's shell shocked because it's like radio is cutthroat. Like
Yes.
it is cutthroat.
Yeah,
We've seen it before.
It's ratings.
It's ratings.
Yeah.
It's also
Well, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Analysing.
Yeah.
That's cutthroat. Yeah.
That's cutthroat, and also we were at the mercy of an English company who didn't fully understand like a doty Cork man,
Yes.
So I rang Ray and I was like, what the fuck? And I was so this maybe happened on the Monday. And I just, as the week was going on, like week went on the next day, but Rob didn't. So it was just me and Kira there. A couple of days and then Rob came back. Now, I asked for, afterwards, ages later, it only dawned on me. I said to Rob, I was like, but why did you, that was so great that you did come back because we ended up having about 3 more months on air. And he was like, well, I came back because of you. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't realise that. That's lovely. Because I think like people are aware why I left, but they didn't realise why he came back because that was hard. We had to do, because usually if you're cut from the radio, that's it. You saw with Ray Darcy, bang, he was gone the next day because there's a fear what you'll say. But they didn't have someone to replace us. So we got away with murder to the point that ultimately Kira was told you have to pull down their mics if they say anything. And we were being, but we did behave ourselves because we didn't want anything to happen. We wanted Kira to have her job and all of that. So anyway, around it just hit me like a bolt out of the blue. I was like, no, I need to leave. This is not right. I'm not happy to work with whoever's coming in, whoever they may be. I started this with Ray and then I was excited about the show we were building. I can't do it again. I can't start a new show again, particularly with somebody that might have been coming in a bit like Ray as a lead figure. Yes. And I was now used to it.
Partnership.
Yeah. Whereas now I was going to be back to just chipping in the and the odd laugh and all this shit. So I said it to my agent. I said, pull me out of that. I'll stay on as long as we need to, but pull me out of it. So then they wished for Rob to put out a statement saying, that he was leaving kind of natural causes. And sure, Rob's not going to do that. Rob has represented Ireland. Rob believes in Cork. He's not going to let people down. So he put out his own statement on air. And I said, Jim, do you want me to say I'm leaving? He said, if you want to. So he put out this amazing statement. And at the end of it, I said, I'm going as well. Now, Kira knew that. We wouldn't have done it behind her back. And so I messaged straight away going, will you ring us? So, I mean, it's the boldest I've ever been, Sean. I don't have a rebellious bone in my body, but I was like, this is unfair. This is not correct. You're firing somebody who I think the airwaves needs. Somebody who is kind and doty and rowdy and wise. He's not slick. Yeah. But so open and such an amazing role models for boys and girls. But he's a dad of like 3 gorgeous girls, and he's so open about all of that. And I'm like, okay, instead we're opting for, Johnny DJ. That's like, okay, guys, we're going to play Ed Sheeran, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, this doesn't sit right with me. So once I had made my decision to leave, I was totally at peace then. I was like, I know I'm sticking to my guns. My morals are intact. Now, very emotional because pregnant as well. Very sad, crying. Shane said that night, like the night of my birthday, he could hear me upstairs going, like very dramatic. And then we were left on air. Grand. The last day, we brought all our kids in and we were like, we're going out in a blaze of glory. Rob quoted John Spillane at the end of it and said Chukagar Law as well, which was thrilling. And we were like, goodbye, good luck, God bless. But we got to do it kind of on our own terms in the end.
Do you know the numbers of that last one? Because I remember listening to it.
I don't know.
I'd love
it
to
was
know
so, but it was...
But people tuned in for it.
Of course, because it was unheard of that you were able to put, like Rob got to say,
yes,
I don't want to leave on air. Like, now we were in trouble for that, but it's like, well, what could you do? You fired him and I'm leaving, so go on away with yourself. And like that man that fired us subsequently got fired himself. So, you know, times are tough for people in radio. It's really difficult. And you'd wonder why. You know, it's like, we're not brain surgeons, guys. Do we need to be this cruel? Like, you know, now look, ultimately it worked out better for everyone. I think Ciara has a lovely show now that she does during the day, and that suits her better.
Yeah.
And like shortly after, we were constantly saying then we'll do a podcast, but I was like, I'll go have Freddie and then we'll do the podcast. But Rob had the mics bought and he was like, we need to do it before you have the baby, because you're going to be, you know, we need to have some episodes out. He was like, I have the stuff bought there now, Laura. And I'm like, oh, right, okay, let's go. So then we did one of the most echoey versions of a podcast you've ever heard, but it is very juicy because all the goss is in it. But I'm so glad. My biggest thing that was causing me the most upset was that we would stop being friends, because we were used to seeing each other every day now. And I was delighted to have him as a friend. And I'm like, this won't last if we don't have, you know, we haven't known each other long enough to maintain a friendship. So, like a really difficult time, but also kind of get over it as well, you know, like as in...
But something really lovely came out of it.
Something so lovely came out of it. And like a realisation as well is that like breakfast radio, you become a person you're not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm suddenly riveted by Cork City FC, for example. It's like, oh, Cork City FC are playing again now here for... I don't care.
Yeah.
And I can't say I don't care on Cork's Red FM, because that would be outrageous. Or, you know, you're suddenly really excited that Ed Sheeran is doing loads of gigs around there. Like I look back at like little clips that we've done and I'm like, oh God, you can see we weren't being ourselves, because you can't be really on
But that's why
radio.
where the pod comes into its own. You know, it's called Red Raw, but because it's raw. Do you know what I mean?
A little bit of a dig.
No, but I love that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
but I do love the rawness of it. I love that you can talk about whatever you want. I mean, I didn't realise that Rob swore so much.
Oh,
he swears a lot.
He does swear a lot. He does, and I mean, amazing that he was able to do breakfast radio without swearing.
I can't believe it. Actually.
What a skill!
Yeah,
and it's just the way he talks. That's just the way he fucking talks.
Yeah.
But he's like. Yeah, so I feel like everybody ended up in where we're meant to be. And I do, like, as in, I'm so happy that, because Rob was like, you don't know what a friendship is. It's like a holiday thing. And so, you know, we both had to, there was a couple of weeks where we had to claw to make sure that we got to keep each other in each other's lives. Like, I'd have really missed him because he's a great person and we've a lot in common, and he's, you know, he makes me slightly more rebellious than I'd be inclined to be. But equally, like, my kids go to his club now and, you know, they're getting to see that kind of wild crack that he is. And I think it's good for them and all that. So, yeah, at the time, very traumatic. I don't know, would it have been as traumatic if I wasn't pregnant? I think, like, when I think back, there was a lot of crying.
I mean, the hormone situation doesn't help.
Yeah.
But I do think it's traumatic.
It was such of a shock.
Because it's a rug pull.
And it's immediate. And a moment of like, cheekers, I didn't even really care about the radio 4 years ago. And now here I am suddenly kind of bereft. And it felt unfair. I have an understanding of radio now, you know, I know it's cutthroat. So if I ever did go back, which I would have no notion of, but if you did, you know, we always say we'd have been very different. Yeah. We were so vulnerable because we weren't radio people that like we'd be much more rowdy now.
But there's a lot of that goes on in radio right now.
Yeah.
You know, they pull people, I see a lot of people with numbers on social suddenly have a show and you can feel them trying to find their way.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'd listen to them like a year later because I've given up. You know, and then I listen to and I think, oh, they've found their way.
Yes, correct.
You know, but...
And we were just out finding our way.
Yes.
You know, we were just there. And it was like, oh, we don't get to build on this.
But now we get it in a much better representation.
Yeah. And I think having had to be quite sanitized has made us freer now.
Yeah.
But you see as well, like, as in, you know, they do quarterly results of ratings.
Yes.
And like, I always be laughing away at that because every radio station claims that they were number one. And there is a way to spin it so that, yes, you are technically correct. But like all of that, all of that is, and there's a lot of unpleasantness as well. Like when me and Ray were on, there was other fellas on other radio stations making swipes at Ray. Okay. And I'm like, are we doing that? There's no need. No. And, there would be people who would have a lot to say about him. And I really would publicly put it on record. Well, he is a good person.
He opened my first business in Cork.
Did he?
Yeah.
And like socially very awkward sometimes. You would expect him to be great crack.
Pilates for me. And I've always been, and I remember a couple of years later bumping into him in Douglas and we were doing something for Elite Pilates and he came over and chatted. Yeah. Always very kind. Yeah. I see him and his beautiful wife obviously around everywhere, their beautiful kids. He's the most personable person. Yeah. And Cork weren't happy with the situation at the time. I remember lots of conversations going on, but selfishly we benefit from it.
Oh, sorry. Are you saying Rob or Ray opened your person? Oh, sure. Rob is an amazing person. No, I put it on record as well that Ray is a good person. Ray Foley gets an awful lot of stick, and there is such a good man in there. And he's what is he? He's unexpectedly awkward. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, you'd expect him to be this like radio guy, but he's not. He's a dirty, vulnerable man in his own way as well. But no, Rob is amazing, and Marion and the girls and everything. Like, they're such a welcome addition to our lives. And like, Marion is one of the loveliest people in the world. And like, they're doing great work with their club now for athletics in general. Like, we'll say giving back, though I don't enjoy that phrase, but they are giving back to the kind of world of athletics and all that. And like what he's achieved. I just find him, like, I've always been drawn to a doty Cork person with a kind of an edge. And like, he is that, like we wouldn't have been friends in school, but I'd have been secretly dying to be friends with them. Do you know that kind of way? So it is. And the podcast is my favourite in terms of career at the moment. It's my favourite thing to do.
What's next for you?
What's next for me? I'm starting to return to stand-up. The time has come. I keep saying I'm on maternity leave. The child is nearly 3, right? So the point comes now where you need to get your shit together. I was offered some gigs that I'm like, no, because I don't have anything new written. So Chris Kent got on to me a couple of weeks ago saying that there's a night for just you go up with your notebook and you try stuff. And I'm like, okay, Chris, I'll do it because I need the push to write new stuff. I work differently to most stand-ups. Most stand-ups write their stuff, trial it in all the clubs, and then do a big show. Yes. I write the stuff for the big show and then break it back down to bring the clubs. And that's actually a problem because it's not a problem, it's the way I work, but it's like, I feel once you've done the big show, can you say that material again? There is a bit of, you need to always be writing new stuff. Like, I've been doing stuff that I'm doing 10 years. It's time. Yes. I need to kill it off. You need to come up with new shit.
I actually saw Chris Kent for the first time.
Oh, he's great.
Just the other night I went to see Carla Cobbler and he did 10 minutes before she came on. Yeah. And I'd never seen him before. And I'm actually I've only ever seen him in the queue in Bank of Ireland in Douglas.
Oh, yes, he's always in Douglas.
Always in Bank of Ireland.
In Douglas. That's all his millions.
But putting in the cash. But I really enjoyed him. But I can't wait now to see that you are coming back.
Yeah, I'm dipping the toe in. So I'm doing that gig in, I think, maybe 2 weeks. And then I'm doing a gig in Carrigaline. But I think, like, this is all local. But I think I'll probably do my old stuff in Carrigaline. But then I sent a message to my agent the other day just saying, hello, I am here and I am ready to do more. Will always be juggling, very aware that I could do more online and that there's a certain amount I need to do. We had an open chat where I was kind of like also very aware that I'm 40 and that, I'm not in it with the young bucks anymore and blah, 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 blah. Where do we go from here kind of thing.
I'll show you USP, go.
Yeah, and just go for it. Like, as in, yes, I'm not based in Dublin, but like it's only 2 hours up the road. My sister lives there. I can do more stuff. I can be more visible online. If I want to. Yes. I'm at that moment now where I'm like, okay, Freddie will go to school. He'll go to play school in another maybe year and a half. Now, then that doesn't free you up necessarily because he's only in for 3 hours. I have to go collect him. Yeah, exactly. But like, there's definitely, I can feel it awakening in me now again. Like, okay, you need to go back and do the bits. I mean, like, I know that if I dedicated myself fully to it, that I would do well. But I'm not willing to take anything from my babies yet.
Yes.
When they're in secondary school and they couldn't give a shit about me, then Mammy will be doing loads of gigs. But
and think of the content you'll have.
Well, this is it.
You said earlier Deidre O'Kane took 10 years off, but look at the content that she has.
Look at her, her renaissance, and she's just she's a great person, and she's so funny, and she's so much herself.
And she can only take the piss out of default mums because she was one.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's great.
Yeah, I find that, I think that's going to be in my new stand-up, the school moms. I don't fit in, Jan, and I can see them looking at me as if here's this.
But remember, all of them think that as well.
And that is the realization, and that comes as you get older. You're like, oh, nobody has a clue. Okay, brilliant. And like in terms of career and stuff, like I've done plenty. I'd like to do more, of course. I always feel that there's probably a book in there somewhere, like a chick litty kind of book. But again, I don't really have the time yet at the moment. I could make the time, but it's kind of like, I think we all need to take it handy. There's an awful lot of hustle. There's an awful lot of this one's doing that, so I must do that. And I just think, could we all collectively decide to take it handy? Then we wouldn't have to be hustling so much.
Do you know what? We did, and we've all forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we did. I think we all promised ourselves in 2022 that we would take it more handy because we realised what we were doing to ourselves. And I look around the last 18 months and we've all forgotten.
We've all forgotten. And I think as well, like, I think the likes of you is so fab because you can see that you're a champion of other women. But I find the ones that make me feel worst about myself are other women. The ones in my DMs that create hassle and stress for me emotionally. It's always women. It's always women trying to keep me small. So you don't do that now. You made a sketch there now and I didn't approve of it. I'm like, who are you? Go away. Why do I need your approval? Like, I think the online space is, you have to really be strong for it, and you have to accept that there are lots of people that are very unhappy. A woman told me straight out the other day she was hate watching somebody. I felt like saying to her, girl, stop it.
I had a friend say that to me on Sunday. She said, I must stop watching her because I don't like her. And I went, why would you do that to yourself?
I wouldn't sit watching a television programme for 5 minutes that I didn't enjoy.
It's time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I think we all need to, everyone, can we just take it easy and don't be comparing yourself? And I'm terrible for comparing myself. Same with the podcast. I'm like, they're doing very well now. And like, somebody said to me the other day about the pod, I was kind of lamenting that it doesn't have, 12 billion followers. And they were like, why can't it be what it is? A lovely thing that you love doing that reaches a lovely group of people. Why can't that be that? And I'm like, this constant striving all the time.
And actually, do you know what I always think? It's a bit like Bebel, actually. I've got this beautiful cohort of women that listen to this pod and they give their advice and information. I never get any grief. It's really, really lovely. And if it got bigger, some of those arseholes drop in.
Well, this is it.
I don't want
this
them.
Is in. I put it into ChatGPT the other day. The comment I got from one woman when I put out a sketch that did quite well. And he said, this is just kind of the downfalls of the numbers, that you are going to reach more people like that.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Keep it small, keep it intimate, keep it community, keep it just the like-minded people.
And it's the same with I find that with your circle of friends and stuff. It's just like, I am such a fan of everyone in my inner circle now. But we're full.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? We've reached capacity.
Oh, fuck. I was hoping to get in there.
There's always space for you. But like, I don't know. I just think, we need to go easy.
Yeah, we do.
Obviously, strive and ambition, all that is great. And I do like when I'm going to gigs and stuff and I can say to Polly, we'll say, who's my little girl, she's turning 11. Mammy still has her dreams and blah.
Yes.
That's important to pass on to her. But the other day she was writing a Mother's Day card, and in it she actually wrote it on Instagram. Shane made her write it on Instagram, made her put down her thoughts. Her thought was, Mammy is really good at relaxing. And fuck it, that filled me with joy, Shan, because I'm like, oh great, because my mum is not good at relaxing. Even when my mum there recently, she had a broken hip, she still wasn't relaxed.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh good, I'm happy that they have that view of me, that I'm not demented all the time, that I'm managing to keep the demented away from them as much as possible, and that they see, Mammy's chilled. I'm like, well, little do you know, Mammy's not chilled at all. Mammy's up to 90, girls. But that's kind of me there now.
I think it's a perfect message to finish with. We do obviously have to do the question that the last person left for you.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And actually, I think we might have answered it because I know what it is.
What does success mean to you? Oh, I think it's that the babies were happy with their mammy. Like, I don't really care about the work thing when it all boils down to it.
Yes.
That, what is success? I think if I could be satisfied with it, it's hard when you've been in wanting to be an actor, there's a certain amount of wanting to be famous. I think the great success is realizing that that's not it. Like, your connections with people, be it, family, obviously, a strong relationship with Shane, the friends I have, the way my kids feel in my house, the house and home that we've built or whatever. Not that we built it, but you know what I mean. That's actually the success. But I need to remind myself of that all the time, because there's still that tiny voice going, yeah, but would you like to be
post-it?
Would you like to be Jessie Buckley? Would you, Laura? And I wouldn't. Yeah. But I have to remind myself of that, because from second class, it was like, I want to be this, I'm going to be a star. And the realization that there's other more important things than
Absolutely.
that.
And you see them every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're very, very lucky.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, babes.
Darling.
I love that.
It was a pleasure.
So thanks for listening. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this pod, then please like and follow. And pop over to YouTube if you want to watch. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Sean Horn. And lastly, we have some amazing news. All of the BBell events are now on bbell.ie. So if you want to know more about our monthly events, our meetups, and our amazing, amazing retreat coming this September in Portugal, then do head over to the website and we'll see you there.